So, Highguard are laying off a majority of their team. Did we dive into it? Okay. On Thursday, Wildlight Entertainment put out this post. Wildlight Entertainment is the guys behind Highguard. Today we made an incredible, difficult decision to part ways with a number of our team members while keeping a core group of developers to continue on and support the game. We are proud of the team, talent, and the project we have created together. We're also grateful for the players who have gave the game a shot and those who continue to be part of our community. Okay, so the game came out 2 weeks ago. We all saw the writing on the wall straight away from it released. There was a huge amount of numbers, there was a huge amount of players that jumped in to give it a go, and they all fucked back off. Then the players just stayed low. And you had some people arguing that the numbers were still fine because you can look at single player games and it was on par with some of those. But this was a free to play game it wasn't shadow dropped, but it was a fast turnaround from release. The problem you had here is you got hate very early on when they announced Highguard at the Game Awards because it's how Jeff Keighley did it. It was the one more thing. It was the one more thing at the end of the whole show. He introduced it being from the Titanfall devs, things like that. Fair enough. Then it turned into a massive blowing smoke up their arse, basically, with Jeff Keighley non-stop saying how amazing it was, and he was basically attacking people. And it's to the point where if you get endorsement by Jeff Keighley, you've just signed a death sentence. I'm sorry, but it seems to always be the way. He's not a great sense of a game's success. Also, big problem we have with games like this, you have the review companies always come out to shill for them. Like, you've got like PC Gamer here saying Highguard didn't flop. Where it did, you can look at the numbers. They wouldn't be letting go a large majority of their development team if it didn't flop. And on the same day that they announced they're laying off some of the laying off a load of the devs, one of the devs came out and he gave a lengthy post about his time at Highguard and how the development team were feeling as this game was coming out and things. Wait a minute, I recognise that name. F-Rigor Studios. This is the guy that created the rigs like Kayla and things. I use your rigs. I'm an animator, by the way. I use your rigs. You make amazing rigs. Great for students. I used it when I was a student. Great for students. Now that I actually know who's behind writing this, and as it says here, you worked at Wildlight, you worked at Disney, DreamWorks, Blue Sky, and you work on your own stuff, and you're a very popular rigger for people. It makes this post a little bit. Let's quickly go through it. Apologise for the name. Blah, blah, blah. The day leading to the Game Awards 2025 was almost the most exciting of my life. Fair enough, but it's a bit. Yeah, fair enough. After 2.5 years of passionately working on Highguard, we were ready to reveal it to the world, and the future seemed bright. And that's great. When you're working on something and it's getting ready to go out there to the public, there's a lot of dread, there's a lot of worry, but there's a lot of excitement as well. Everyone I knew who had any connection with the team or the project had the same sentiments. This is lightning in a bottle. I trust the team wholeheartedly. If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. This has mainstream written all over it. There's no way this could flop. I could play this game all day. So a lot of people often talk about toxic negativity all the time online. if you say you don't like something, if you haven't got constructive criticism in it, you get deemed as being toxic, and it's just toxic negativity, which a lot of time it is. A lot of time it's just trolling, or a lot of time when people can't give you constructive criticism, it's because they don't like it, but they don't know how to put it in words. A lot of times when it comes to the games, it's because it just doesn't feel right most of the time, and people don't know how to say how it doesn't feel right. They're better off just using like trolly words about it. But with the troll toxic negativity comments, they are very easy just to ignore. But the problem that we have, and it's a problem in this industry, the gaming, movies, TV, they're trying to counter people trolling online and people having the toxic negativity. They're countering it with toxic positivity. And I think that's more damaging because you're giving these developers and these creative people a false sense of achievement in a way. Because then when things are coming out, they're coming out and attacking fans that don't like it. But because they've had, like he said here, he worked on it for 2.5 years. The project was probably in another couple of years of early development time. So there's a lot of your own team giving praise. They're the ones you need to ignore. And the problem with this game, it feels like you didn't have any actual people that wasn't connected to you try this game. People need to stop being afraid of negativity. When I was learning to be a 3D animator, my attitude in my head was whenever something was praised, I would fucking ignore it because it gives me no valid information about my work. I listen to the negativity because that's where you learn. You learn from failing. You don't learn from people just praising you all the time. That's how you get stagnant. And the thing is, with Josh, he's got a good portfolio behind him. He's a great rigger. I know how that sounds. I'm saying rigger. We need him in the industry to rig our things. Animators and riggers are normally very close with each other because we're going back and forth a lot on it with each other. Most people who are like, especially most people who are learning at the moment, when you're at one of the schools to learn some, like if you're learning 3D animation, you're probably using some of Josh's rigs. Unless the school has its own rigs, that you can only use those ones. And if you're in one of their schools, a lot of time they're 20 years out of date, so you might want to think about going to one that's actually a bit more open. But let's go on a little bit because he says here the internal pre-reveal feedback. So here's your problem. It's the internal. And internal isn't just the team you're working with. It could be friends and family as well. Because a lot of time when you've got movies coming out, they're shown to friends and family before they're shown to the public. Same with games. We get our friends and families to test them. And a lot of time, if you want to test it a little bit more and you're under NDA, you just have to be a bit sly about it sometimes. But it's a great way of getting good feedback, even if you're not supposed to do it that way. A lot of time you're not supposed to do it that way, but we still do. So the internal pre-reveal feedback, even from unbiased sources. So you're contradicting yourself because you're saying internal, unbiased. If it's internal, it's biased all the time. Because internal, even if it's other teams from other studios, so it's an internal as in internal in the industry, they're still going to be biased. Because a lot of time it's dev talking to dev. And you want each other to succeed. And a lot of times nowadays, people are too scared to be negative or just give people the criticism that they need. But you need this criticism to grow. But yeah, saying it was quite positive. Yeah, because it's biased. That's why it was positive. You wasn't getting the negative. And where it was negative, it was constructive. Yeah, I'm sure you did get some. But clearly, from the state of the game when it came out, The team, I'm not on about just a single person or a single part of the team, because when it comes down to like the rigging side, so this is where Josh would have been involved. There wasn't really problems with that. It's elsewhere. So as a whole, as the game as a whole, there's problems. There's a lot of negative constructive feedback that could have been given if it was allowed to be played by the right people. Even if you did a couple of alpha playtests, that's especially when you're trying to bring out a new game that you're trying to go into a space where we've already got a lot of games that are already doing the same thing. You need as many hands on as possible without it going public. And if you don't mind it going a little bit public, you do the alpha test, you do the beta test. But yeah, it was constructive and awesome and often actionable. What do you mean often? Kind of constructive negative feedback were you getting what that wasn't actionable? I'm guessing it's the ones that just didn't work with the stories, but yeah. People who played the game, including us, had a blast. That's great. But the game's not for you. You're not making it for you. You're making it because you want to make a profit. You're trying to build this IP up. You're not making it for you. Great, you had a blast. And since we were an independent, self-published studio, built on royalties in mind, many of us were hoping this could finally be the thing that broke the millennial financial curse. And a lot of the time, that's what a lot of people just want. You're looking for that thing that's going to put you on the map. But that can't be your goal. If that's your goal, your focus is in the wrong place. But then the trailer came out, and it was all downhill from there. You had Jeff Cooley throw it in as the One More Thing game, which is normally a big AAA game that people are normally excited for. It needs to have some shock value. This isn't that kind of game. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who gave positive previews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact when the negative leaning context gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've got just as much incentive to lean disingenuous direction. Problem here, you're saying people get more engagement for being negative, which is true. You do get more engagement for being negative. It's always been a thing because, believe it or not, people like to bitch rather than be positive. You can bitch more and have a hissy fit with your friends and things like that more than you can be positive. But you're talking about these bigger reviewers, these review sites and everything coming out and testing your game. Then they're giving you just positive interaction about it. They get laughed at every time they do a review and everything because they're so out of touch with the rest of the gaming industry. They don't understand what the players want in games. And a lot of devs now don't know what they want in games because a lot of devs don't play many games because you're busy. So your heartbeat isn't there to the ground as much as you would like it to be. So I think this is a bit of a shitty point you're trying to make, because if you're talking about just run people online they're gonna lean into the negativity, yeah, because you have trolls. But you're on about the people who flown to the event to try. The people that are flown there, they will praise most things. So I think you're being a bit shitty there. The hate started immediately, in addition to dogpiling on the trailer. I personally came under fire due to my Twitter, which almost all of my now former co-workers have learned to avoid during their previous game launches. Alright, so if we're going into the Twitter thing, we're talking about X here. If you're a sort of person who takes getting dogpiled on personally, if you can't just sit there and laugh at people, just stay off the fucking platform. It's very trolling, especially if you're trying to bring out a product and things. Even if someone likes it, they're probably going to try a shit on you just because they think it's funny. But yeah, this is just mine about Twitter. Mate, grow up, move on. It gives a fuck what people say on X. There is much constructive criticism that can be and has been said about Highguard's trailer, marketing and launch. But I don't think it's It's my place to comment on that. I also don't think that there's any way to know whether the launch would have fared better or worse without the massive spotlight that was thrown onto us in response of the Game Awards trailer placement. But we never got that chance. If I remember rightly, this game wasn't supposed to be announced the way it was announced. So if that was the case, what caused it to be announced in the way that it was announced? Also, I don't think it's just a matter of fact of how it was announced that drew this game down. This game does have problems, and it can be fixed. The damage is done now. I think it's at the point Wildlight Entertainment need to just bring this game back, bring it back out of the public eye, take the criticism that's out there, ignore the trolls, polish the game up, go down the route of bringing out some alphas, some betas, let some people try it as you're going along, get some more criticism, bring out another beta when you've worked on the criticism you got that way, go from there, snowball it until the game's actually ready, until it's getting the right kind of criticism. If the only criticism you're getting is from trolls, your game's probably good. If you're just getting people not playing, because a lot of time you can ignore everyone online at the moment, doesn't change the fact that people aren't playing the game. If the game's not good, people aren't going to come. A lot of people don't care what people are saying online. A lot of people will they'll jump on a game, they'll try it, and if it's good, they'll play it. If it's shit, they won't. They don't give a fuck what other people think. So stop blaming people online for saying it's good or it's bad. The devs need to. I don't mean like it's the higher level side of the development team. The people who are actually in charge of the say of things. You need to go back to not square one. You need to go back a couple of steps. You need to go back in the pipeline a little bit more. Work on some of the gaming mechanics. I tried the game when it first came out. My problem is the mechanics of the game. It's got potential. The game has potential. But it feels like it wasn't tested. It feels like you made a game, then you pushed it out the door, and no one saw it until then. And that's not a good way to launch a game that you're wanting to be a live service game. Go back in the shadows, work on it, then come back. So basically he's going into the people joking it's Concord 2 and 3. Well, technically it's Concord 3, if you want to put it on that bracket. The thing is, when it comes to the development team, because ignore what the people in charge of the shares and all that lot are saying, and the people who are firing you and stuff like that. When it comes to people like Josh here, you've worked in Disney and Blue Sky and things like that. You have the experience. You have the talent. Why are you listening to trolls? And why the fuck have you got comfortable with toxic positivity? You should know better than that. Focus on criticism. Fuck the positivity. It is shitty when you bring something out and it flops. It doesn't mean that's a reflection on you. You shouldn't be taking it personally. You should use it, reflect on it, and learn from it. Maybe you're at a point this is mainly with Josh here. Maybe you're at the point where you should be focus more on teaching, because we're at that stage now with a lot of entertainment where it's the higher ups that don't know what they're doing. They're pushing out the wrong shit that people don't want, and you have in studios with this. I've been in a studio where everything was just positivity, and I had to. I was showing my Maya scenes to people that shouldn't have been seeing them. I'm not going to say what studio this is, what project, because it was under NDA and don't want them on my necks about it. But fuck the positivity. Learn from the negativity. Learn from it. You're a great rigger. I need to be careful when I say that because it makes it sound like I'm saying something else. YouTube, there's an R there. It's not an N, it's an R, okay? Fucking hell. At the end of the day, this is the same concept when we're talking about fucking anything nowadays. Everything's just positivity, positivity, positivity. And you have this, and it comes from one fucking side because they can't take fucking criticism anymore. Then you get shut down as soon as you criticize something. This is why you get a lot of these people, everyone who fucking criticizes anything, just automatically you get dogpiled on saying you're racist, you're bigger, you're sexist, you're all this kind of stuff. They put you in a category because you're criticizing something. And it's not. You're criticizing because you love the IP, you love the industry. I criticize because I love the industry. I love the gaming industry. I love the entertainment industry. I want to see it boom. But it's hanging on at the side of a cliff at the moment. And a lot of time, when you look at actually what's going on in a lot of fucking studios, especially a lot of the bigger studios, you realise the problem is they're hiring like high numbers of lower leveled people that are being told they're brilliant all the time instead of hiring talented people that can take criticism. And I don't even want to shit on Highguard, to be fair, because it's got potential. It's not a game I'd play. Even if you fix it, it's probably not going to be a game I'd play because I'm a little bit fed up with multiplayer games now because of how they are, and especially live service games. I'm more than fed up with that. I'm going back to playing some older stuff now and focusing on single player stuff. But while the industry is in this state, it's not going to go anywhere, and all you're going to get is the online trolling side of it, because people won't like it, but they can't explain to you why they don't like it. So they just go for the trolling side. We need to stop getting upset about negativity. Fuck positivity. We need more negativity. Not the bad kind, the good kind. Otherwise you won't learn. Anyway, if you want some negativity, check out one of these videos and let me know what you thought of Highguard. Let me know if you think devs should be actually posting this kind of stuff, because I'm very much on the whole, you keep your development side, like that side of your life, you keep it to yourself, because you will open up people that just want to hate you for the sake of hating you. And that's what's going to happen now. He's going to get a lot of hate for this, he's going to get attraction, and it could look bad when he's going into studios, because the thing is, when studios hiring you, they're not just looking at your demo reels anymore. They're looking at your social medias and your presence online to see what kind of person you are. I've been blacklisted from a couple of places because of that. So let me know your thoughts down there. Not so much down there. It's private down there. Come back up. Buy me dinner first. But until next time, I'll catch you later.